The housing theory of everything is a political analysis which suggests that all of the various social, political, and economic crises facing our societies are in some way or another downstream from the housing crisis. The most obvious consequence of expensive housing is that we are paying more for housing than our parents' generations ever did. But a scenario in which people are dedicating so much of their income to housing is one in which people aren't going out and spending that money in cafes and restaurants and shops, etc., which leads to our economy being much more sluggish than it could be. There are environmental consequences too. If people are living in badly designed, shoddy homes, then they're probably not as well insulated. If they're not in the right location, that someone that needs to be in for work, then it means that that person is going to have to travel a lot more, which might mean public transport, but also might mean getting in their car a bunch more than they might. Even the birth rates crisis, right? A situation in which a couple that wants to start a family is not able to set up a home between themselves and is having to live with parents or with friends is one in which they're going to either delay or maybe not have that family. And I've always been a little bit skeptical of this housing theory of everything. It tends to be forwarded by people who are kind of free marketeers whose solution to the housing crisis is just to cut all red tape and regulation and just let private builders have at it to build as many houses as they want, which I'm skeptical as to whether they would do anyway. One of the causes of the housing crisis is that house builders like to build houses slowly so that they can gradually drip feed them into the market and not cause prices to crash. Proponents also sometimes use the housing theory of everything to distract from other problems within society, such as low pay, for example. And yet, the more I've thought about it, the more I've come to the conclusion that housing is the one thing, in the UK at least, that if we put a lot of effort into solving, it would have so many positive external effects. This would be particularly useful in the UK, given that we are also facing a massive unemployment crisis. There have been a lot of headlines recently about the number of people who are out of work, and yet we also have a situation where there are not enough jobs for those people, even if we were able to get them back into work. What fascinates me is the extent to which the government will talk about the housing crisis as though it is a crisis, and yet we're really not acting like it is. The inaffordability of housing is an extinction level event for the UK economy. In a sane world, the government would be building an army of house builders, training up young people and people who are out of work to give them skills which could keep them employed for life, highly desirable skills, and employing them directly to go out and build houses across the country. Houses which could be let out at social rates, right, to be affordable for people, or be sold on at a moderate profit to kind of keep the system going, whilst also driving up quality and affordability. The fact that we're not treating it like the crisis that it is a massive stain on our politics.